Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to RWBY Ice Queendom episode 4. In the previous episode, that is still very much fresh within my mind because I watched it not long ago, a lot has happened, perhaps even too much. But no, there aren't really any buts. Too much has happened in the previous episode. We had the whole thing with Jean, where he became infected with the Grim Seed, or whatever they call it, and he fell into a magic coma, essentially, and his friends had to bring him out of there, and thankfully they managed because they are close as a group of friends, as a team. Problem is, Weiss seems to be suffering the exact same thing, except she doesn't really have anybody close to her. Because it seems like whatever friendships she tries to form are very much superficial, are very much mostly just play pretend. She wants to achieve her own goals, and if the route to achieving those goals is acting all buddy-buddy with someone, she's gonna go act buddy-buddy with that someone, not necessarily thinking of them as a friend even. And Blake might be the exception, because it seems like both Blake and Weiss had a little bit of character growth in the previous episode, mostly Weiss. Although, again, I'm not entirely sure how genuine it is, because we didn't have much time spent with it. Right? There was so much going on in the previous episode that we didn't really have the time to sit back and fully go through the changes that the characters went through, and to fully get acclimated to them and to understand them and to let all of that sink in. There was simply no time, because we had another character appear out of nowhere, the Monkey Man. We had yet another character appear, the doll named Penny. At least I think she's a doll, some sort of an automaton. Maybe she's just quirky like that, and she has the demeanor of a doll and the voice cadence of one. But yeah, there's Penny. And I hear we were robbed of Penny's fighting scene, and I will not forgive this series robbing me of a fight scene with Penny, because I fucking love floating blades, and Penny uses floating blades. Why did you not show it to us? I don't know. Maybe in this episode. Who knows? What else happened? Right, there was the whole operation of stealing dust. And it seems like the dude from the first episode, the mafioso or whoever he is working with White Fang to steal dust, or to do, I don't know, some nefarious shit for sure. A lot has happened. Very, very, very lot. But hey, in this episode, we are supposedly entering the not quite fanfiction territory, but we are kind of diverting from the path that the main series took, that the original series took, and we're veering slightly off, supposedly. Maybe it's gonna result in better pacing, maybe not. Who knows? I certainly don't. All I can say is that we will probably enter Weiss's mind in this episode, because she seems to be plagued by the nightmare shadow of herself very strongly now. So I'm assuming we're gonna start this episode with Weiss being asleep, and Ruby and the team trying to wake her up, but oh no, she doesn't wake up, and she's all covered in thorn tattoos. And it's a problem because she doesn't have anybody who's particularly close to her, and she's fairly fucking strong. The saving grace for Jean was that he's kind of weak, and so the monster was also weak because it didn't have much aura to feed on. In case of Weiss, well, that's gonna be exponentially harder. Anything else that needs to be said? Not really, I don't think. I think we can just start watching this episode. Let me stir my coffee first. And take a sip, and you can start watching. First, your subs. Then my sip, and my sound. And support! You can support the channel on Patreon, on Throne, links in the description, or by sharing my content. It really helps a lot, the word of mouth. And with that said, we can start watching episode 4 of RWBY Hyousetsu Teikoku Ice Queendom, episode 4, in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, version by subs, please. I haven't changed anything. Oh, for a moment I thought there's some issue with sound, but it was on purpose, apparently. That's a cool sky. That's a very cool sky. What do you mean nothing? There's trees and stuff. You have a skateboard, apparently. Oh no, it's her scythe. Skateboard, not skateboard. Snowboard. But no, it's a scythe. And there's no new OP. Well, that's very disappointing, not gonna lie. It seems like the OP was genuinely just done on a shoestring budget, wasn't it? It's just cuts from the first 3 episodes. Just shots from the first 3 episodes arranged in a grid with a garbage desaturated filter on top. It looks like Mexico in Breaking Bad, except different colors instead of just yellow. The music's good, but the visuals aren't winning any awards, let me tell you that. Okay. Let's see where they take us in the anime original land. Okay, so it is also a snowboard. Her scythe is very versatile, isn't it? It can be a gun, it can be a scythe, it can be a snowboard. Demon tails? Okay, so RWBY is inside of Weiss's mind at this point. They just didn't see it necessary to show us the reaction to Weiss becoming sick and to showing us them going into Weiss's mind. They're just going for it, I guess. I mean, id medias res is valid, don't get me wrong, but in this case it does introduce just a little bit unnecessary confusion. A train. And here's White Fang. Are those robots strictly necessary? Wouldn't just some turrets do? Also, you must help, but who? Who's in the right here? Who's in the wrong? I mean, in this particular case, it's probably White Fang that's in the wrong, but... Also, why is Ruby alone in here? That's another question. Did Weiss's heart only allow Ruby inside? If so, that doesn't really make much sense. It's not like Weiss and Ruby were particularly close. On the contrary, they were butting heads very often. Odd. Having a semblance is useful, isn't it? Yep. That's a whole ass city. Okay. I guess Weiss's mind has a whole ass city inside of it. She's probably at the very top of whatever it is. Okay, she has a time limit. So I guess Weiss sees Ruby in winter clothes. Sure, I guess. That's a surprise to me. Not gonna lie, that's a surprise. Yeah. Wouldn't it be easier to find it with more people, though? No, you didn't notice because nobody thought to try and notice. Literally. Now that I think about it, I guess Vice hasn't showered either because she didn't see the thorns on her own body. I guess in this case, story takes precedence over making sense. So okay, that's useful. Yeah, I love her semblance. I have to say, I really do love it. How she cloaks herself, and there's the red petals and the sound. That's Vice's father. Okay, so Vice still very much lives in the shadow of her father. Big Nicholas. Just salute. Oh, it fires backwards? Okay, that's cool. Not gonna lie. Also, Ice Queendom. The Queendom of Ice. Is the whole season just literally gonna be inside of Weiss's mind? Have I been correct in my predictions in the previous episode? That we're just gonna be stuck inside of Weiss's mind the whole time? Yeah, what is the true path? Does Weiss have something against semblances? Is she mad that she doesn't have her own semblance? That's usually how maps in games work, and RWBY is very much gamified. Apparently, some factories are important to her. Loyal workers marching out. Fear is freedom. Subjugation is liberation. Yep. Nope. A bat? Who's the bat? Whomst? That's not a great jingle. Factory work. And he noticed the semblance. Just salute back. Get across the world awaits. Sorry, it instantly reminded me of the OP to Princess Principal. Best? Probably not. Biggest profit margins? Probably yes. Dopey Klein. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, so they're all just absolute idiots in Vice's mind. Yeah. I mean, that's one law I can get behind. Being stupid is illegal. Shadow people. Okay, so the bat noticed her using coins. What's gonna be the consequences of that, though? I like you! I really do enjoy her design. Is that Weiss's sister? Girl in the black garments. Blake? Whitley. Okay. Wait, is it Weiss? She doesn't look like Weiss. It is Weiss, okay. And yeah, Weiss is very much living inside of the shadow of her father. Not even necessarily in his shadow, but like under his boot, essentially. She wants to be worthy, whatever her definition of being worthy is. Yeah, she wants to live up to her family name and whatnot. Yeah, I'm afraid that once you find Vice, you're gonna have to fight. Yeah. Okay, I get it. The dream, yeah. The dream isn't actively trying to harm her, it is just by its nature harmful. Yeah, wanted posters. That was quick. Whomst? Weiss? Okay, the music is a banger. I love the symbolism of Weiss growing bigger and RWBY growing smaller. Sister Winter? Okay, we're fighting now. Yes, yes. Maybe. Okay. Not gonna be that easy, I'm afraid. I feel like RWBY is at a disadvantage here because she's created in the way that Weiss sees her. Her weapon isn't exactly the way she's used to it being, right? Last coin. Watch her lose it. Yeah, not gonna be that easy to escape from the queen inside of her own queendom. That was fast. And Blake has the bow on the back of her head, still. That's gonna bother me. Every time I see it, it's gonna bother me. That's a cool ending, though. See, they can create some cool visuals that go hand in hand with music if they want to. They just chose not to do that for the opening, for some godforsaken reason. Okay, I guess everybody else is going to join them inside of Weiss's nightmare. Awaken in a dream. Okay. Seems like the series isn't quite going in the direction I expected it to go. But it's not necessarily bad. But before we talk about it, how about we go through this episode again? Shall we? Yes, we shall. You don't get to choose. We're starting in medias res, but yeah, fairly confusing in medias res. Like, if it was a situation where by the end of the previous episode, by the end of the previous episode, we assemble around Weiss because, oh no, Weiss fell asleep. What are we gonna do? Cut, cliffhanger, right? End it here, and now we're starting here. We have a reason to believe that they are starting already inside of Weiss's mind, right? Because it's an otherworldly sky, otherworldly landscape. RWBY is looking a little different, and they ended at noticing that Weiss is having issues with the nightmare, so it stands to reason that they would try to solve those issues, right? That's how you do in medias res. You leave only one thing out of the equation, one thing that can easily be inferred. But we ended on Weiss being confronted by her shadow. That's what I'm gonna call it, by her nightmare, whatever. And from there, you have to infer multiple things. You have to infer that the rest of the team noticed. You have to infer that the Big Hat Witch wanted to set up the whole shtick to help her. You have to infer the fact that RWBY went inside of her mind. You get confused by the fact that it's just RWBY alone and not other team members, right? There's a lot of stuff to infer, so it doesn't really work that well as in medias res, at least in my opinion. I was very confused at the beginning. What's even going on here? Are we just completely skipping over Weiss, completely glossing over all that stuff, and we're going on some wacky adventure in some wacky lands? Or what are we doing exactly? I thought that maybe it's RWBY's dream, maybe it's RWBY's nightmare, maybe RWBY was also attacked by the Grim Seed, and she's stuck in a nightmare, and this is what we're seeing right now. Right? It was very, very confusing. And then train tracks, parkometer, phone. Once she pulled out the phone, I started connecting the dots that the Big Hat Witch has the phone that can call dreams, so that she's probably calling her, so she's probably inside of a dream, probably inside of Weiss's dream, because everything is snow, ice, and white. Weiss, right? Yeah. Also, Weiss's dream is extremely elaborate. That's another reason why this episode took me by surprise. Right? There is a whole landscape, there is train tracks, there is train, there is White Fang, there is a whole city that has its own like artificial society. There's all that shit inside of her nightmare. In comparison, Jean's dream was just some tree, some meadow inside of a forest, and some statues just abusing Jean verbally, telling him over and over that he's a disappointment. And that was the entire scope of his dream. In comparison, this is much bigger. That also added to my confusion, to my initial confusion, that it's not just some one small vignette focusing on the one particular issue that Weiss has. It's a whole elaborate world inside of her mind, which wasn't the case as far as we were made aware. Try following the tracks. Those are weird tracks, not gonna lie. And is the train running down the very middle of them? Yeah, the train is running down the very middle of them. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tracks here, like 8 rails. It would make sense. I'm sorry I'm so hung up on it, but it would make sense if it was like a bi-directional tracks, right? 4 tracks one way. I'm assuming the outer tracks for wheels and the inner track for power, for example. And the same goes in the other direction, but the train just goes down the middle, so it has 2 wheels on each side and then 2 power delivery things, but it's no, it's not combustion engine. It's probably powered by dust though. Yeah, the tracks don't make much sense, but it's whatever, really. Doesn't matter. Yeah, White Fang, of course, derailed the train, and the tracks go towards a city. I like the mechanic of coins. She can use them to teleport between locations, to call home, or to create a map. Apparently, cool. Again, I really like her semblance, the effect of it, the sound effect. I was similarly a huge fan of Maria's cape in Symphogear, and it's giving me very similar vibes. I like capes. What can I say? Even more so, I like capes that are made useful. Right, a cape that you can use to block bullets, or wrap yourself with it to, I don't know, shield yourself from an explosion, or a cape that you can use to attack enemies, or a semi-sentient cape, prehensile cape, a cape that you turn into, essentially. I like those. I really do. A little bit of a sequence of going through the maze, breakout, and a whole ass city. Tiered city, fucking Honnoji Academy. And only here we have a full confirmation that RWBY is indeed inside of Weiss's dream. Did you pass through the gate? Keep setting markers, proceed very carefully. Be careful to not waste any coins. Apparently there is a time limit, or at least an aura limit. Yeah, that's interesting. There's another you inside of her dream. That very much puts RWBY at a disadvantage, right? If Weiss sees RWBY as physically inferior to herself, for example, then Weiss is probably stronger than RWBY inside of the dream. If Weiss sees RWBY's weapon as a pile of garbage, then RWBY's weapon would probably be a pile of garbage. So, yeah, RWBY is very much at a disadvantage. What if we all fight the Grim together like we did with John? Yeah, what if we did? We have to find it within the dream first. Okay, sure, I agree, we have to find it within the dream first. But why does it stop Blake and Yang from joining the search, though? That doesn't make much sense to me. Focus on your dangerous and terrifying opponent, the Grim. Okay, yeah, if we try to enter her dream, we would be rejected, but you are the ones who Weiss believes in. Why aren't they inside yet, then? And of course, entirety of Weiss's mindscape is dominated entirely by her father. Notice how there is no Weiss here. There is nothing Weiss in here. It's only and solely her father. Portraits of her father, statues of her father, huge statue of her father. The little salute thing is also based on her father. I like this little detail that RWBY's weapon doesn't work the way it used to work, because Weiss just has no clue how it works, so she just assumes that it fires from the other side, because, I mean, that kind of looks like the barrel, so I guess that's where it fires. Interesting. What true path? Yeah, what true path? That's an interesting tidbit. The bat I have no clue who that bat is, but the bat is, I guess. A little bit of a jingle song, almost like the Seven Dwarves in the fairy tale, singing as they march to the mines, except it's not the workers singing, because they don't really have the heart to sing. They aren't even like real people in this case, so... Nicholas. Big Nicholas! Of course. Happy Klein. One of the 7 butlers, apparently. Are we gonna have to, like, go through all the 7 butlers to finally face against Weiss? Is that gonna be a thing? I hope not. Dummy jail? Sure, why not? Weiss's mind seems to really be all about, like, superiority, isn't it? Right? All the dummies go to jail. Being stupid should be illegal. And so there is a dummy jail inside of her mind. Right? She sees the authority of her father and both fears it and is subservient to it and also yearns for it. And thus the whole world seems to be subservient to her father. She also has a very military aesthetic to her in this version, to the point where I wasn't even sure if it's Weiss at all. Because it's a very different look for her. Because everything runs as a military and she's near the top. That's an important thing. That, sure, everything is about superiority, but she doesn't see herself as fully superior. She sees herself as superior to all the others, but still inferior to her father. There's a very interesting duality to Weiss here, because she has both inferiority complex and superiority complex. That's a lot. That really is a lot for one character to handle. Shadow people, because they aren't important. They're just NPCs in my world. I pay them no mind. Those are just lesser beings. I don't even notice them. Right? The superiority complex. But then we have the overbearing bust of her father bursting in from the ceiling, huge and imposing, taking up like half the screen, ginormous, and looking down at her with piercing cold blue eyes, and she doesn't look up at him. Notice, she's like, Big Nicholas, Big Nicholas. Yeah? I have no clue what the deal with the bat is, but hey, the bat exists. Weiss here very much reminds me of what was her face? The antagonist military lady in Akame ga Kill. I don't remember her name, but it's very much the exact same look, the exact same aesthetic. Let me look her up real quick. Akame ga Kill antagonist. Yeah, Esdeath. Esdeath. Very much Esdeath vibes. Open image in new tab. Okay, maybe Esdeath. Yeah, yeah, they could be twins. No. Open image in new tab. Bring the new tab here. Bring the new tab here, I said. Fuck's sakes. And window capture. This. Like, right? Am I right or am I right here? Am I right or am I right? It's just Esdeath, and I love this aesthetic. I really do. There isn't a single Faunus in the Empire, and yet your trains are somehow being attacked. Huh? Also interesting that Weiss seemingly had a change of heart when it comes to the Faunus, and yet it's not reflected inside of her mind. Like, I know that it's supposed to reflect, like, your biggest fears, your biggest nightmares, but you'd think that Faunus, as they are, shouldn't be a part of that anymore. White Fang, sure, absolutely, but not Faunus. Interesting. But the girl in black garments keeps appearing again and again. Who's the girl in black garments? Does RWBY have particularly black garments? No, she's mostly wearing red. Blake wears black, so are they talking about Blake here? I don't know. Weiss to carry a heavy responsibility. Again, going for her, what was I about to say? Pushing, not even pushing responsibility on her, but Weiss taking all that tons of responsibility on herself, right? She doesn't necessarily have to be responsible for that, but she chooses to be because she sees it as her obligation, I guess. RWBY, why is she here? And yeah, what RWBY, what friend? Are you not a proper daughter of the Schnee family? Sneaking outside without permission, talking to a commoner who is likely a thief. Dummies are needed in the Empire. And there is a little bit of conflict within Weiss, right? Because she hears all those things and she doesn't want to hear them. Suitable heir to the Schnee family and the descendant of Big Nicholas. And her family, her heritage, always bogs her down, always keeps her down. She wants to chase after it, she wants to become worthy of her heritage, and yet she doesn't want to at the same time, kinda, sort of deal. Yeah, current. Some are evil, others are good. Lies and truth are but small parts of a dream. Don't let it swallow you up. Face it head on. Yeah, of course. Ruby Rose. What's the description? A short young girl with black and red hair. Pale white skin with silver eyes. 1.57 meters tall. Often seen with a snowboard on her back. Proceed with caution. Do not underestimate her statue. She is armed and is a skilled huntress. Do not attempt unless she is unarmed. Proceed with caution. Ruby Rose will be paid in cash for the capture of Ruby Rose. Gotcha. I guess here we can see it better. 157 meters tall, yeah, 5'2". Another of the 7 butlers, apparently. And here comes Weiss. All authority, all overbearing. Who gave you the permission to speak? Be silent. It's it's very similar. I think that was even the intention of, like, in how some of the bullies, like bully kids, stem from abusive homes. Not all of them. Some are just shitty kids, but some of them actually do come from abusive homes, right? They are being abused at home and they bring the abuse forward. Because one thing is that that's the main way of interacting with others that they carried out of their home. And the other thing is that they want to feel superior to someone. right? They are being abused by someone, they are feeling inferior, so they want to make up for it by having an opportunity to feel superior to someone else. That kind of deal, right? Uh, the way Weiss deals with feeling inferior to her father, with the overbearing heritage she has, is herself acting superior to others. Right? Yeah, that's very much what they're going for here, I think. If they aren't, then that's still what they went for, so I guess it doesn't really make much difference. Sister Winter, your verdict. Is that Weiss's sister, I'm assuming? The powerless return to dust, the wicked will wander the void, punish the traitor to the empire, and imprison them for eternity. And yeah, those were all probably lies. Some great action sequences again, although I was kind of hoping for a little bit more action, a little bit more combat, but hey, I'm gonna take what I can. Last coin, I'll use it to escape. There's gonna probably be a situation of I can use the last coin to escape, or I can use the last coin to help Weiss, and she's gonna help Weiss, fully thinking that she's, I don't know, giving up her own chance to escape or something, but it's gonna end well in the end. Stinging Nettle and Cherry Tea. And here comes Weiss, and we fight more. Wish you brought Blake and Yang with you, aren't you? You really should have. Really, there is no reason in my mind why they couldn't just bring the entirety of the RWBY team inside of Weiss's mind. Honestly, I love her as that aesthetic. And the ending does tell me that the whole series is gonna be about Weiss's dream. That was episode 4 of RWBY Ice Queendom. What can I say about it? For the first time, I think I didn't really have anything to... there wasn't anything that would bother me on like a technical level. Or at least I haven't noticed anything, right? Nothing like clipping, nothing like animation errors or art errors or anything like that. So that's cool. That's great. I still do take issue with the fact that nobody noticed the thorns on Weiss's body earlier, that there was no check for the thorns, and that they haven't sent the entirety of Team RWBY inside of Weiss's mind at all, right at the same time, right? All of them together. So those are the only complaints I have, really. I kind of got used to the art style already, so I'm not gonna be talking much about that. It is what it is. It's not gonna get any better, so we're gonna have to live with what we are given. One thing I have to say is that I really did not expect the whole season to be seemingly about Weiss only, to be taking place inside of Weiss's head, and I think that's where we're headed. That the rest of the season, the remaining, what is it, like 8 episodes, is just gonna be taking place inside of Weiss's Ice Queendom. That's interesting. Interesting for sure, and I don't know how to feel about it. Because here we build the whole big world with the school, with the Grimm, with the other team. Then there came Penny, there came the antagonist, Mafioso. All that stuff we were introduced to, and now we're just limiting the scope to just inside of Weiss's mind. And it doesn't even progress the story proper. I'm still honestly not entirely sure what the story proper is, besides Ruby wanting to become a huntress. We're limiting the scope of the season to just being inside of Weiss's mind. And ultimately, whatever they do inside of her mind, it's not gonna have much consequence, positive or negative. Sure, it's gonna serve as a growth arc for Weiss, I'm assuming. She might come out of it stronger, more independent, and whatnot, but there won't be any change in like how the Schnee company runs. There won't be any change to how White Fang operates, right? Even if they say in the dream they do something super hugely significant, they make Weiss take control of the Schnee company and makes her sign a peace treaty with the White Fang or something, right? Problem solved, hooray, bravo. They get out of the dream and that all just disappears because they did that in the dream. So I'm not sure what to think of it. Dream sequences and dream arcs work when they are just that, arcs, like smaller arcs inside of a larger arc. A dream arc being 2-3 episodes long works because we still have the time to progress things outside of the dream. If the whole season is just gonna be a dream, we're gonna get out of that dream and we're gonna get back to essentially status quo from episode 3. Except Weiss is gonna have a little bit of a better mindset. And that's gonna be literally the one sole and solitary change. So yeah, I'm not sure what to think of it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the subtitle of this season is called Ice Queendom because it's the significant part of this whole arc, and the whole sub arc inside of Vice's mind is actually gonna take like 3 episodes, and the rest is gonna be going to school, going to fight Grim, and all that stuff that progresses the goal of Ruby to become a huntress and of Yang to also become a huntress, and maybe progresses the story of Blake, right? Maybe. I have no way of knowing. And thing is, you guys also have no way of knowing, even if you've seen the originals, because this episode is where the stories split apart. So that's gonna be interesting. Again, I'm gonna watch the original series to see where they went with all that stuff. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at your discretion whether to tell me of any differences from the original series, but at the same time, without spoiling the original series to me, that might be a little bit too hard. So I'm gonna leave it at your discretion. If it's a spoiler, please don't. I beg of you. You can join my Discord. There's a RWBY channel there. You can talk spoilers in there, but not in the comments on YouTube because I have no way of filtering out spoilers. There are no spoiler tags. I can't exactly like I can assign someone to moderate my comments, sure, but they can just hide the comment from me. They can delete it, but I don't want those comments deleted. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it in your hands to not spoil me things. Mm, anything else? I like some of the ideas they showed us in this episode for sure. The idea that the insight inside of Vice's mind, and the idea that things are different from Vice's perspective. That she sees Ruby as some daredevil girl who likes skateboards and snowboards and extreme sports. That she doesn't necessarily know how her scythe works, so she just assumes that it fires the other way. I like it. I really like those details. the dummy prison where she sees the rest of the Juniper team, besides Pyrrha, of course, because Pyrrha is great and amazing and I want to be in her team, but the rest of Juniper is just bumbling idiots. I really like those ideas here. Overall, that was a decent episode. Sure, sure it had some issues, but overall, a very positive experience, and I'm gonna be waiting for more. I'm gonna be waiting for what the next episode brings, and where are they gonna go with it, and is it actually gonna be a whole season about just Weiss and her little mind space? Well, little, vast mind space, because it really is a vast world, isn't it? But yeah, right now I think that's gonna be it. So you guys, you tell me down in the comments below, what did you think of this episode, of my reaction, of my theories? No spoilers, again, please, I beg of you, because I'm gonna be watching the original series and I don't want that spoiled to me. Like this video if you liked it, disliked it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases, not only of RWBY Ice Queendom, but also of Symphogear GX, of a mystery show that my patrons are voting for, of Overlord Season 4, Hataraku Mao-sama Season 2, Yofukashi no Uta Call of the Night, amazing show, highly recommend. And I also stream every now and then, so you might want to be subscribed for that as well. So click the bell and all that jazz, you know what to do, because every single YouTuber tells you about it. You can support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or Throne, links in the description. On Patreon for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows. For $5 you get to vote in seasonal polls, like the poll for the mystery show that's replacing Review Starlight. And for just a single dollar you get a role on the Discord, and you also get a place in the credits that will be showing up very, very shortly. Throne is a brand new thing where you can just throw some money towards me purchasing some gear, like a new camera, new lighting, or stuff like that. I'm still experimenting with it, so use it if you want, don't if you don't, simple. And if you just don't want to spend any money, you can still help the channel by sharing my content, spreading the word, because the word of mouth really matters a lot for the growth of a channel. And also you can join my Discord, already said that, link here, link in the description, it's free, open to everybody, so come and hang out with us and talk about anime and gacha and stuff. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it from me for today, so as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's the credits I mentioned, and we finally see some tier separation. Multiple tiers, you can join one of them or some other one if you want.